Hi everyone, my name is Anna Cahoon. I am joining from the GSMA's Mobile for Humanitarian Innovation Programme, and I'm going to be talking through how mobile network data can be used in conflict settings to inform the response. In case you haven't come across the GSMA before, we are the Global Association for the Mobile Industry, and the Mobile for Development Programme specifically is the foundation or the tech for good arm with the cross-cutting goal of using mobile and digital technologies to reduce inequalities worldwide. Within the humanitarian program, there are lots of things that we do, but the main focus is using different mobile and digital solutions to support more effective, safe, and dignified humanitarian action. One area that we've been looking at over the last year is how mobile network data can be leveraged within humanitarian action. And I wanted just to give some reflections from some recent research that we published on specifically on mobile data, but then this is looking a bit more at the conflict use cases. We know that 123 million people are currently displaced by conflict, and responders on the ground have many different questions that they're trying to understand. Where are people moving? Where are needs emerging? And often these decisions that they're trying to make are being done with data that is incomplete or not timely enough to match how the crisis itself is evolving. Added to that, as we've talked about a lot today and over the last few days, resources are increasingly stretched for humanitarians on the ground. And so the ability to actually deploy teams to different locations is becoming more and more difficult. And because of that, we've seen that lots of organizations within the sector are increasingly looking at how these questions can be answered through different sources. So looking at how non-traditional data, large-scale data sets can be used to inform more targeted and effective response. And this is where mobile data can be part of it, part of the shift. Within the industry, 5.8 billion people are subscribers, and the mobile industry covers 96% of the global population. And so what that creates is a series of near real-time signals which provide insights into different population movements, communication patterns, and behaviors as well. Traditionally, this was focused more on call detail records. So these are billing records that are created when an individual user makes a phone call or sends an SMS. But increasingly, projects are looking at a broader range of data that's created through using your mobile phone. So, for example, thinking about the app usage, mobile money usage, and a whole range of other digital trace data. More and more, this data is now being layered with other sources to create a more complete picture, particularly satellite data, census data, to be able to provide humanitarian responders with more targeted insights about where needs are emerging and who is in need of particular assistance. And we've seen through various use cases that this can be applied effectively within conflict and displacement contexts. So I've got two examples that I wanted to share. The first is from the Democratic Republic of Congo. So in the DRC, the mobile operator Vodacom and Flowminder have been working together since 2018, and they've been using anonymized and aggregated mobile data to inform different national public policy as well as crisis response. So, for example, last year in 2025, when conflict broke out within the Eastern DRC, signals from mobile data were used to understand displacement patterns and through that create a pathway for Give Directly to be able to deliver mobile money-based cash assistance. Elsewhere in Ghana, also Flowminder, they've been working with Telecel for many years, similarly using anonymized, aggregated mobile data to inform different national policies. They have also used mobile data to understand displacement patterns immediately after conflict-related events, as well as the longer-term displacement trends. From these examples and from others, we've seen how the mobile data can be used to improve, the understanding of visibility of population movements and to be able to do so quickly enough to inform decisions around response. However, the the attributes that make mobile data so valuable, so for example, its scale, its granularity, also make it particularly sensitive. And if you're thinking about conflict settings and looking at populations who are already at risk that are on the move, there is a heightened risk of how that data can be used. So, for example, it can be used to understand displacement, but also settlement locations. And because of this, there is a huge emphasis on how to make sure that that data is used responsibly. Across different use cases that we have analysed, we've seen how this can work in practice. So how you can make mobile data work within conflict settings and ensure it is used responsibly and that any of the communities who are being supported through this analysis are also protected. The main components are ensuring that any of the models used and the projects designed are governance-led. There are a few main components to this. So firstly, thinking about privacy by design. Any of the mobile data that is used is aggregated and anonymized. No personal data is used, and it's not possible to link it back to an individual. It's looking at overall patterns instead. Secondly, controlled access. So any of the models that have worked well, the data remains with the mobile operator within their environment, and analysis happens securely to ensure that no risks are posed. And finally, having clear governance. We know that for the partnerships and the models to be more effective, they often can take between 12 and 18 months for agreements and the frameworks to be formed. But these are the fundamental foundations for ensuring that there's definition around roles, accountability, and clarity around legal and operational frameworks. The image on the right shows some of the different data sharing models that we have seen in practice. And overall, the ones that have been most effective are when mobile data does remain within the operator's environment. We've seen this work in conflict settings. And for us, the question when it comes to mobile data in humanitarian action is less about does it work? We know it does. We've seen it across multiple use cases. The question for us now is more about how you move from individual pilots or one-off projects into more established systems. With the research report that you can see on screen, which was published a few weeks ago, we explored how this can work in practice. And we profile some of the partnerships that have lasted 5 years, 10 years in leveraging mobile data responsibly to support humanitarian action. The factors that have contributed to their success are, as you see, so first and foremost, having these crises, having these systems in place, the agreements approved before crises actually happen. Any attempt to try and create an MOU with a mobile operator in the heat of a crisis is usually not going to work. And so having the discussions in the lead up to an expected crisis is much more likely to guarantee success. As I mentioned, having systems that work within the operator's environment, mobile data is highly regulated, highly sensitive, and so models that can fit that level of sensitivity are a lot more likely to be viable. Thirdly, any of the systems that have been built for reuse, so not just one-off projects or one-off crises, but repeatable indicators that can be used across multiple different use cases, have proven to be more effective and valued by national institutions as well as the operator themselves. And finally, landing these projects and ensuring that they're anchored within trusted public institutions, particularly national statistic offices, but also others, ensure that the project has clear mandates and authorization pathways that are more likely to encourage mobile operators to explore how mobile data can be used more effectively within humanitarian action. So just to bring it back to conflict and displacement, we have seen this works, but it really needs to be treated as a governance-led approach to ensure that the data that is used is reflective of the sensitivity that is needed within these contexts. If you are interested in this topic, this QR code would lead you to the report that I just showed, but also very happy to discuss further with anyone. And we'll pause there. Back to you, Louisa.